We begin the news in Nigeria, where the Nigerian Senate has taken a swipe at the 17 trillion naira lost by the country on tax waivers within the last 5 years. The Senate's objection to the alleged abuse tax waivers came during the 2024 budget presentation of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. The chairman of the committee, Senator Sani Musa, told the FIRS chairman that the tax waiver abuse, which has cost the country about 17 trillion naira loss within the last 5 years, should be suspended and substituted with a rebating system.
The tax administration and tax rebate system in Nigeria will not only ensure fairness, but also bolster revenue generation. So for critical national development, we really want you to look at this, because this country have lost more than 7 billion trillion in 5 years due to tax waivers and tax holidays. The backward integration policy of this government, which gives room for those holidays, we need to review it. So I think with this, I can say that you are fostering much of accountability in your collections. You are doing very well. The innovations you are bringing to tax administration in this country need to be commended.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the FIRS, Zacchaeus Adedeji, who projected 19.4 trillion naira as targeted total tax collection for 2024, insisted that a fresh 2.7 trillion naira tax credit planned for road construction in the country by the Central Bank of Nigeria should be stopped. He said that the program is laudable, but that the 2.5 trillion naira being spent on it by NNPCL should be exhausted before bringing fresh requests.
He said today, NNPC through RITC has committed 2.5 trillion to road construction in Nigeria. And they brought another one. They said they want to expand it by another 2.7 trillion. And I said, no, that is not allowed. As a special advisor to the president on revenue, I will not say I have all my revenue and I want to use it for road. Is it the only road I want to do? I've already committed 2.5 trillion to this one. And people are complaining about the efficiency of it, and that is even separate. That what I've said, which Mr. President has approved, is that all the one that we have in pipeline, we will complete it, but it's not expandable. And that is what we say. Because NNPC is #1 revenue source for us as a country, either in time of taxes or non-taxes. We can now not use all their money, their capacity, and we are using it to do road that is roughly managed by me, Federal Land Revenue. What capacity do I have as an accountant to be the one approving the road for 2.05? How will I manage it? How do I know what they say? It can go see to so, and I approve. Which staff do I have there? And I said it is only Ministry of Works that has director of works in every state. Take everything through budgeting process. If we have this our revenue, so let's put the whole revenue into the coffer and let's follow budget process. Then
Nigeria has seen several pockets of protests as the people complain of a high cost of living. A protest has been seen in Ibadan, Sokoto, Niger, Kano, where they have the cried standard of living, poverty, food inflation prices, and current economic hardship affecting the country. The latest protest saw protesters converge on Mokola, Ibadan, Oyo State capital, carrying placards with various inscriptions and songs of agitation, saying they will peacefully move across some major streets in Ibadan. They appeal to all concerned Nigerians to join the solidarity movement, as the people cannot continue to endure what they describe as an unbearable pain.
The whole country is hungry. We just need their intervention. We do not want to fight with them. We are not here to cause any problem. We're just here to tell the government our problems, that they should just look into this for us. That they should please look into the problem of the masses. Help us. Have mercy on us. People are hungry. People are dying daily of hunger. Insecurity is killing people. We just need them to help us. They should just help us. They should just look into our case and be of help to Nigerians. That's just all we need.
Nigerians have the right to hear their opinions. And we cannot say because we are here today, we must not allow every other Nigerians to exercise their constitutional duty. Section 34, 39 and 40 empowers every Nigerian to organize a peaceful assembly and to speak about the economic hardship. On this note, this is not today's own.
Our people have the right to freedom of assembly as it is, but our duty is to ensure that it is not hijacked by unscrupulous elements. And if caution is not taken, which is why we are here, to ensure that we provide the intelligence and, of course, the physical support to ensure that this.
And joining me on the news to talk about this is Chris Akwarando, a public affairs commentator. Good morning, Chris. Glad to have you join me.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure.
Now, what are your thoughts on the protests in Ibadan yesterday regarding the escalating prices of goods and services?
Well, demonstrations occur everywhere in the world. Protests are rights of citizens. So, citizens are compelled, actually, to protest against policies that are untoward, whether economic, religious, psychological, academic. So, but what is happening in Nigeria is actually an accumulation of things that it started from the 70s, we were not able to deal with. The cost of goods are high in the country. It's not just in Nigeria alone, anyway. In other parts of the world, too, things are rough. But then, in our own country, it is because of our inability to start somewhere to build. So if in the 70s, for instance, and 80s, we had refineries and we encouraged private people to invest in establishing refineries, we wouldn't really be importing a lot of the quantity of PMS and AGO that we're importing, right? Now, if we started investing in agriculture, to make sure that agriculture became a norm, for us to first of all feed ourselves and then to export, then we would have got to the level now of mechanization and industrialization. Now, if we stopped corruption, stopped rent-seeking economy at all levels, 3 tiers, whether it's the president or the governors or local government chairman, if we had stopped corruption to a certain extent, then we wouldn't have a rent-seeking economy where even the gate man would demand money from you in order to see the bus. So we live in a rotten society and things are bad. But I think that this is also time for us to question what our governments are doing. Implementation of policies.
Okay.
Are we implementing the right policies? Then 2, the major causes of this hardship include 1, well, okay, you might say I'm advised for us to remove fuel subsidy. Did we need the fuel subsidy if we were refining at home? All right. Now, some people are shouting, remove subsidy on electricity, remove subsidy on agriculture. Why do we have to do that? Because the people are suffering.
If I may just jump in there, Chris, I know you talked, just permit me to chip in there. I know you talked about mechanization, increase in agriculture for Nigerians, but in the interim, Chris, what can be done to alleviate the hardship in Nigeria for the masses?
Well, one of the things that can be done as at now, since we are not producing enough food at home, is to open the doors for importation. It's not the best because the little naira you have, you are also going to, the little dollar you have, you are earning, you're also going to use it in importation of the foods, okay? But you need to do that in order to allow food to come in and then crash the prices. Then you need to set up price control boards, so that people don't make untoward profits. Then 3, you also need to stop insecurity. Because if you stop insecurity, farmers can go back to the farms and then they can grow foods which can feed the people. Then 3, you need to invest in the railways. You need to make sure that the railways are working so that they can carry goods and services. You need to invest in road, linking roads between the rails and the cities. Okay, so these are the things we want to do immediately. If you can say you can open the window for importation for 6 months, okay, or 1 year, okay, all right. Because the way it is now, you can't buy anything now with the money.
Let's take a moment.
You need the central bank needs to supervise the banks, because the banks are making humongous profits, while the naira, it's because the floated naira is just dancing yo-yo. So the banks are also causing our problems. So the central bank must supervise the banks and make sure that what they're doing, the things they're doing are right. So you could see we have multitude of problems that have been accumulating. Now, look at what the banks are doing. You could put in $50,000 now in your domiciliary account, and you come back to collect the dollar, and they tell you, no, they can only give you naira, there's no dollar. So when you then have scarcity of dollar, your currency will be dancing. So we have a lot of problems. Now we're paying so much debt now in dollars, and that's also affecting us. So a lot of things add up to the problems we have.
Permit me to quickly ask you, Chris, if I may, Chris,
yes,
just very, very briefly.
Yes.
Do you fear this situation may just snowball into a state of anarchy in the country? I mean, in the month of February alone, we have seen protests in Kano, in Niger State, in Sokoto, in Oyo State, all because of the soaring prices of food, of goods and services.
Yes. Let me tell you the truth. It will not get to point of revolution and burning down things.
How certain are you, Chris?
From the NSAS. We've learned a lot from the NSAS. The government will definitely mitigate to see how they can stop this spiraling to the whole nation. The government is not sleeping. The government is not stupid anyway, because they know that this can also lead to crushing the government itself. It can lead to anarchy, but the government wouldn't allow it to lead to anarchy. So what I'm to help the situation, help it. If you're selling ugu, don't go dollarizing ugu. It doesn't make any kind of sense, does it? Okay, you can tell me, yes, you also transport yourself. You also need some other things. Secondly, Nigerians should stop buying ostentatious goods at this point in time. Buy what you need, not what you want. Okay? Three, Nigerians should stop all these speculations about the dollar. Because it is these speculations of a dollar and dollarizing everything, including the air we breathe, that is causing problem. Then 4, yes, the complaints about floating of the naira, I don't see anything wrong with it actually. After all, we were paying billions of dollars in order to shore up pegging the naira. So floating it's not really a problem. The problem will now be what the banks are doing, what the central bank is doing, interest rates, monetary policy of the central bank, and so on and so forth. Then the federal government says they're releasing grains to the people. You are releasing grains to the people. Who are they? How do you know who you are releasing grains to? Because you have a rent-seeking economy where the local government chairman will appropriate it. So at the end of the day, the problem of a cricket is in the belly of a cricket. If we want to solve our problems, we have to solve our problems ourselves. The foreigners cannot solve our problems. IMF cannot solve our problems. That I can assure you. Okay, so we must decide ourselves, is it time to build this nation? Praying too much will not solve our problem. Pray, but don't waste your whole time praying. You need to work. We need to create. We need to export. We need to end the dollar. So as it is, these are in our hands too, not just the federal government. Okay, and then look at what the state governments are. Everybody is just doing what suits him or her. That's not the proper thing.
And that's the most we can take. Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Chris Akwarando, a public affairs commentator. Thank you once again.
It's a pleasure.
And now moving on to another story. Let's tell you that the Nigeria Red Cross says that over 20 million Nigerians are suffering from acute hunger and malnutrition and has called on citizens to support efforts aimed at providing relief to them. The Red Cross, while announcing a partnership with Nigeria's EcoBank, says that it is hopeful that they can reach out to Nigerians with means to support their cause. Amadine Uyi reports.
With the recent rise in inflation, more and more citizens have been drawn below the poverty line. While Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics says that inflation has risen to almost 30%, the Nigeria Red Cross has also raised an alarm over the increase of citizens lacking access to food and regarded as acutely poor.
Today is a day for us to think about what we can do as individuals to help people who are suffering from the impact of this increased vulnerability, particularly here in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, a dire hunger crisis is currently affecting the lives of many people. It is a situation that demands for immediate attention and collective efforts to alleviate the suffering of those affected.
The Red Cross says that it is hopeful it can reach citizens with means to provide relief for Nigerians in need.
We are particularly delighted to partner with the Nigerian Red Cross Society in this bold initiative. Nigeria Hunger Crisis Emergency Appeal to reach out to 1,092,030 people.
Many Nigerians who have the ability, who have the means, even in this harsh environment, that they become generous, that they open up their heart and partner with Nigeria Red Cross to collect resources and allow Nigeria Red Cross to respond to this crisis.
In joining forces, we aim to raise funds locally to address the persistent needs of our communities. The funds will be directed towards providing multipurpose cash for emergency relief and recovery, prioritizing healthcare, nutritional support for pregnant and lactating mothers, water hygiene and sanitation initiatives, and livelihood programs to reduce disease and other infections.
The Red Cross says that it is also hoping to reach about 18,250 households across 11 states of the nation. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Ishagu, an agrarian community in Delta State, South Nigeria, have called on the federal and state government to save their community from the annual perennial flooding that have sacked them and destroyed their livelihoods over the years. The call was made at the flag-off clearing and mechanical desalination of Iyete and Balangba Rivers waterways at the community. Our correspondent, Austin Nazu, has details.
This one buggy excavating here is to ensure the blocked Iyete Umambala River's waterways open up for free flow of water and empty into the River Niger and Ethiopia.
Identify Ishagu with fish, and the waterways, when it is developed and really overly dredged, will help the fishing input of this community so that other people can also come here to harness the agricultural impact of the fishing industry in this community.
This river can help us to carry out our foodstuff overside after farming. It will not be easy for us to carry our farm produce to the mainland where it will be transported to other places for sale.
Some residents of the community who spoke recounted how the community has been confronted with perennial flooding wherever there was a heavy downpour. The residents said the exercise was born out of community efforts to complement the state government's efforts dredging the river years ago. While describing the impacts of the flooding on the community, they appealed to both the federal and state governments to put an end to the ecological disaster confronting riverine communities along the coastal lines of the River Niger and Benue.
This river is a community that have decided we have this stretch of Iyete River going straight, linking up the River Niger, same as Mbalamba River. They connect and link up to River Niger. So here, the economic life of this place, its value is to be upgraded, added if the channels are opened up.
Asking the government to see how this can be done, probably once in every 2 years, pending when the bridge can be constructed to be able to accommodate more water. Because if it's left undone, in a couple of years back, the whole water width again will take over the whole place. And when the tide comes, everywhere will get overflooded. So we are believing and begging government to come to our aid in helping us to make this mechanical distillation probably once in 2 years affairs, while we look forward to seeing the bridge being constructed.
The Delta State government had in 2016 dredged the Iyete-Mambala River's waterways to address the flooding menace. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
And now to some politics. More drama continues to unfold in the Edo State branch of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as a youth arm of the party is now taking over party secretariat building in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Now, this followed the confusion that came after the party's primaries, where factions of the party announced 3 different winners of the primaries. News Center's correspondent Bernard Akede, who is in Benin, the Edo State capital, in an exclusive interview with the youth, has details of this.
Now it is Youth O'Clock. That's what these young men and women who represent the youth arm of the State All Progressives Congress APC were chanting today as we spoke to them. In an exclusive interview, the youth leader, Tony Kabaka, gave a brief recap of what happened on Saturday, stating that the people have voted and their votes must count.
Well, why you see the youth angry, why they are angry, why they engage on secretariat, is because the way and manner they want to change the votes that we voted for Dennis Idahosa.
Kabaka and the supporters have taken charge of the party's state secretariat, and they say they shall remain there until normalcy is restored to the party.
We all came out en masse with our registration membership card to vote for Dennis Idahosa. And the election was conducted by the committee set up by National Working Committee, was headed by Hope Uzodima. This election was conducted and it was peaceful.
You would recall that between Saturday and Sunday, 3 different candidates have been declared winner of the party primaries by different groups. The youths are now calling on all involved to accept 43-year-old Dennis Idahosa as the rightful winner.
Some state working committee, few people inside them that have collected money from aspirants. They say their aspirant must succeed. Because they did not succeed, they are going to work against the party. So information reaching us that they have alliance with opposition to destabilize what we have done. They did it in past election, we will not allow it this time. So why we the youth? Because this is the first time that youth have come out for governorship. This is the first time we have a youth as a candidate.
Political analysts are saying the APC will have to put its house in order if they hope to challenge the ruling PDP and other oppositions who have their primaries coming up in just a few days. In Benin for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Thank you for staying tuned. The Nigerian Army has restated its commitment in surmounting the recurrent security challenges in the country. And this was made known by the Commander, Training and Doctrine Command of the Nigerian Army, who was speaking at a cocktail organized to end the Lieutenant to Captain Practical Promotion Examination in Jos Plateau State Capital. News Center's correspondent Chizoba Anyonwe has details of this.
Noting the daunting challenges facing Nigeria, the Nigerian Army says sooner than later, all these will be in the past as measures are being put in place to achieve positive records. 2 weeks ago, over 500 personnel of the Nigerian Army, from lieutenant to captain, from all the formations in the country, had gathered for an examination that will help improve the security situation in the country. Marking the end of the 2-week program, a cocktail was organized in honor of the men and women in uniform, though not in uniform this time around.
I can tell you that as we continue to close ranks, these challenges are not insurmountable. Working with other security agencies along our functional lines and with the support of the larger Nigerian population, we hope that in no distant time, we shall overcome all the security challenges in all the theaters across the entire country.
Hosted by the 3 Armored Division, Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, Trukuba, under the command of Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, there is the hope that the process will be beneficial to the Nigerian nation.
The knowledge gained and the challenges overcome will no doubt shaping your future as leaders. I am, however, confident that the future of the Nigerian Army is bright, thanks to the caliber of officers we have seen during this promotion examination. Your commitment to excellence and the pursuit of knowledge is a source of great pride to us all.
The past few days have been both taxing and rewarding, as this examination has enhanced our proficiency, which will be reflected in our performance in the course of our military career.
No matter how daunting the challenges may be, it is believed that this process that has come to an end is one that will, among other things, bring forth better future leadership position in the Nigerian Army. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anioi.
The Benue State government has raised alarm over the presence of illegal miners in the state, saying that the activity is affecting the state's ability to earn expected revenue from the federal government. The Benue State Commissioner for Justice, while speaking to news in Makurdi, the state capital, says despite the abundance of enormous mineral resources, illegal miners have continued to exploit these minerals without any returns accruing to the capital.
Benue State has a deposit of 34 mineral resources out of the total 44 in the whole country. So it's quite unfortunate that while 13% derivative is very, very low. But there is a problem. The presence of the illegal miners in the state, the problem of improper report of the mining activities in the state that have denied the state the royalties and the 13% derivative that is improperly given to the states. We have a window, even though it's the federal government managed, but the state have a window to take back from the federal government by the 13% derivatives, which is made through royalty payments. Our duty as a committee is to look into this synergy to making sure that mineral resources is fully developed in Benue.
Nigeria and Brazil are considering the possibility of establishing direct flight operations between their respective financial capitals of Lagos and Sao Paulo. Now, both countries also confirmed their commitment to deepening bilateral relations, mainly to increase the volume of trade and cooperation across solid mineral exploration, healthcare, and agriculture. This followed discussion between Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu and his Brazilian counterpart, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, on the sidelines of the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on Sunday. Nigeria and Brazil began diplomatic relations in the 1960s and have since collaborated in agriculture, education, energy, and trade. Earlier, we were joined by President, Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, America's Brazil Chapter, Chika Emmanuel.
Like you rightly said, have had this relationship for a very long time, and I think this is the right time to really act. Like President Lula said during that interview, Brazil has a lot to offer. So one of the first things I would suggest is that we improve on the diplomatic relationship between both countries. It's been very cold all this while. I would suggest very strongly that we have state visits on both sides and that we also work hard to organize small trade missions between Nigeria and Brazil. I do not see anything that really stops both countries from negotiating positively. Of course, when President Lula was elected into office in 2003, he did a spectacular job giving special attention to most African countries, which was somehow interrupted in the past administration here in Brazil. But President Lula is back and ready to work with us. So I would suggest that the government gives a bit of more attention to Niger, Brazil, particularly in the area of agriculture. So we could work with the Nigerian embassy here to create the atmosphere for such operations.
For fear of possible scarcity of petroleum products at the filling stations, Consumers have begun panic buying of petrol, gas, and kerosene. On Monday, the 19th of February 2024, many filling stations in Umuahia, the Abia State capital, were not open for business, even as a few that dispensed had long queues of vehicles and jerrycans. News Centre's Chiwo Gele has details.
There were rumors about the planned downing of tolls by the National Association of Truck Owners until the 15th of February, when the body officially wrote to Nupeng expressing concerns about the high freight rates. Even before the commencement of the strike, the filling stations decided to hoard their products from Saturday, and by Monday, there were just a handful of stations selling to consumers.
Government should not allow that. Whatever they have to do, they should do it to stop this kind of threat.
Without fuel, all these vehicles will not be able to convey us to our various places of work. Like when I was coming to work in the morning, I noticed that so many fuel stations weren't selling. And at the same time, it caused hold up because there were a lot of cars parked there willing to purchase fuel, but they were not able to get anything.
But if fuel no, then you can't go work because there will be no transport. No keke, no motor, no machine, no anything. If you are going to work at Obakala or Aba or Nature or Hofia, you can't tell me that you can trek.
Not many citizens understand the reason for the situation, but we are quick to embark on panic purchase of commodities, creating long queues. The citizens are worried that the situation may get worse if the matter is not resolved in time.
It is going to be very, in fact, extremely difficult for the people to really survive because already the price of fuel is beyond reach. Nobody expects to be buying fuel at the rate we are buying it. And then it's going to be complicated with this kind of situation where the suppliers, the drivers will, withdraw their service.
They know what is right and they should do it so that everybody will stop complaining and we all will be able to go to our various places at the appropriate time.
The masses are at the mercy of independent oil marketers who increase pump price and sell as they like since the deregulation of the downstream sector, which removed the power of control from the government. In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Uge.
Guinea's junta leader, Kano Domboyi, has agreed the solution of the government which has been in office since July 2022. General Amara Kamara, a junta spokesman, gave no reason for the solution nor a date for announcing a new government. Current affairs will be managed by the cabinet directors, secretary generals, and deputy secretary generals until a new government is put in place. Guinea has been led since September 2021 by a military junta that opposed the country's first democratically elected president. Under international pressure, junta leader Kano Domboyi has promised to hand the reins of government back to elected civilians by the end of 2024. West Africa's currency union has reported that Niger's debt worth about $500 million has suffered multiple defaults after the coup. Oyo State, UT, which manages Western African Economic Monetary Union operations, has published 8 notices to the investors since the beginning of the year, stating that Niger has been unable to meet its financial obligation on the government security market. The total unpaid sums amount to more than $515 million. UT is responsible for managing and promoting public security in the Waembu zone, which includes 8 West African countries that use the CFA franc as their currency: Ivory Coast, Senegal, Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Niger, and Benin. And after fleeing the Kingdom of Eswatini over 2 years ago, former Member of Parliament Ndutsi Similan has now been granted asylum in the UK. Similan, a pivotal figure in the unrest in Eswatini, sparked by demands for democratic reforms in the landlocked monarchy, has been in hiding since he heard that a warrant of arrest had been issued against him by King Mswati. However, a Eswatini government spokesperson Sabelo Dlamini, denied that the arrest of MPs were ordered by Mswani. Meanwhile, back in his home country, civil groups and citizens are still pushing for change, and there is pressure to conform to a repressive political system that has led to many having been in poverty. The groups are calling on South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to intervene. And to talk about this, I've been joined on the news by Ndutsi Similane, president of Swalimo. Good morning from here. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. How are you? I'm fine.
All right. How has it been for you since you have been in hiding for this long? And how do you feel about, being granted asylum in the UK?
Yeah, my sister, it has been a terrible 3 years. You will remember that I'm a passionate gospel artist who was always with his people every weekend, and I'm a passionate philanthropist who has been helping his people back home. So being away for these 3 years has been one of the most painful times in my life. However, I will also want to take this time, based on your question, and say there are no amount of words I can have to salute the Brits for making this historic decision to grant me the asylum here. I can also say that this is not victory for Mduduzi, but it is victory for the peace and democracy people of my motherland. Yeah, having said that, I do see that this has given the government back home the worst nightmare, as they keep threatening of extradition and kind of stuff. One would really love to say they're just daydreaming, and I salute the people of Britain for granting me this asylum.
Mduduzi, how has your experience shaped your perspective on activism and also human rights in Eswatini?
You see, I have grown to see that Martin Luther was right when he said, you've never found what you live for if you have never discovered that which is worth dying for. I'm no more the same person. I have been an activist back then, but the experience I've had, the torture I've faced, has sharpened and strengthened my zeal for change in my motherland.
Well, but you are in the UK. I mean, how do you plan to continue fighting for Eswatini, for the people, where you are in the UK?
I'm very much glad that I'm standing on shoulders of giants like Oliver Tambo, who were able to wage in the struggle for South Africa based in UK. It is not an easy task, of course, because for most things to happen smoothly, you need to be closer to your people and work together. The aspect of distance is really a challenge, but it is the challenge that is giving me more strength to work for our people. But I can also safely say that this state of being here has given me a chance to strengthen our international solidarity. It has given me a chance to move from corridor to corridor and explain the pain of our people back home and the thirst for change, political reforms in Scotland.
How about for other activists? I mean, what message do you have for them, for those like you facing persecution in Eswatini?
Yeah, once again, I will refer to our ancestral revolutionary leader by the name of Oliver Tambo. He says, when times are as tough as now, you must look back and think of why you got here. As I speak to you today, hospitals, the health center is collapsed in Swaziland. As I speak to you today, we've got news that lecturers of our first university have not been paid. As I speak to you today, worse and worse is happening in Swaziland when there is a family that has ordained itself to be the father. Meaning, where on earth would you have, in this 21st century, one family appointing a head of a government? So I'm saying to our people, they must look back on why we got here. And the moment they look back and understand why we got here, they will find the strength to keep fighting and pushing hard and organizing, because no night has ever been too long such that the sun never rises. So they must keep organizing on the ground and myself from this side, I'll be pushing hard. They must know we are always on our feet and we're always pushing hard.
And that's the most we can take. Thank you so much for your time. From the Dutsi Similan, thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro accuses United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Office of espionage and conspiracy. The accusations come after the government suspended the office's activities last week and expelled its personnel from the country. The Venezuelan president also threatened ExxonMobil over Guyana.
Y de repente esa oficina se desvió. De ser una oficina de asesoría técnica que debe respetar las instituciones y más bien es asesorar las reformas legales que el país necesita, asesorar las instituciones para que mejoren, de repente se transformó en una oficina de espionaje interno, la gota que rebosó el vaso después de tanto hablar, de tanta paciencia, fue un caso reciente con una persona involucrada en estas labores de espionaje, de conspiración.
And that's all on the news at this hour. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduga.